Hey everybody, it's Jason with the Boardgame Mechanics, and I am back to continue talking about some games that would be in my top games of all time if I owned them. Now, technically they made the list when I was doing the rankings, but I put a self-imposed restriction that this year I was only going to talk about games that we owned. So, that's what I'm doing. So these, well, how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games. If I can count correctly. I made some errors on the other one, but we'll just pretend that didn't exist. So these 11 games would be in my top 101 to 200 games of all time if I owned them. So let's get started. So my number 192, or what would have been my number 192, is a game called Lizard Wizard. And this is a game from, I think, Forbidden Games, Glenn Drover's company. And this is effectively a set collection auction game where you're trying to collect these different wizards, these different buildings, spells, and familiars to try to basically get resources and score points. That's it. There's a little more to it than that. It's deeper than that. But at its heart, that's what this game is. It's a re-implementation of Raccoon Tycoon, which I haven't played, but this one is a bigger, more robust version of that, I guess. And I like it. So it would have been on my list had I owned it, but I don't. So my pretend 190, I think I said 197, 192 is Lizard Wizard. Next up is a game that I used to own, but I gave it to a friend when they were moving out of the state, and it is a fantastic game. It's a push your luck game, and it's called Incan Gold, and this is from Alan R. Moon, Ticket to Ride. You know, he's a legendary designer. And this is effectively a push your luck game. You are trying to go into this cave to collect different types of treasures, but there's going to be some hazards in there. And as cards are getting flipped, if two of the same types of hazard comes out and you're still in the cave, you bust and you can't collect any of the gems. So it's a push your luck trying to determine when you want to go out and take some of the gems. Do you want to go in, be the only one in, get all the gems, all that kind of thing, and just try to have the most gems, treasure, crystals at the end of the game to score the most points and win. That is Incan Gold, and that would have been my number 176. What would have been my number 174 is actually, I don't know if it's one of the newer games, but it's one, I think it came out last year, I'm pretty sure, and it's called Maglev Metro, and this is a game from Bezier Games. I think designed by Ted Alspach, but I'm not sure on that, so don't quote me. I should have done some research, but again, pretty okay. And this is effectively a network building game where you're trying to build different networks for your metro train, your magnetic rail train, to pick up passengers and deliver them to places they want to go to score points. And you're going to be upgrading, using those passengers to deliver, putting them on your board to upgrade how many people you can carry, how far you can move, all that kind of thing. So it's a engine building, pick up and deliver game. Cool components, cool like clear tiles with pathways. Just a good time. It's a fantastic game. I like it. If I could find a copy, it would be in the collection. I just haven't gotten one yet. But in any case, 174, Maglev Metro. What would have been my 171 is a game that's kind of a, I don't know, it's not a pick up and deliver game, worker placement game. And it is from Luke Laurie, I believe, and it's called Cryo. And this is a game where you have these little drones, you're sending them out on this board. You're trying to collect different types of resources. You're trying to rescue some of your crew members that have been in like a deep freeze. You're trying to get them underground to be safe, all that kind of thing. You're building passages underground. But it has this cool mechanism, like a lot of Luke Laurie's games. When you have to take an action and you don't have any workers, you can pull them all back. When you pull them all back, you can get some bonuses if you've upgraded your board properly. So you're just trying to go out, do as much as you can with all the workers that you have. When you pull them back, hopefully you've set up your board correctly to help you when you're sending them back out in the future. Trying to score the most points, all that kind of thing, basic Euro stuff. But I like the way that this one does it, and it's one that I definitely would like to play some more. And that is Cryo, which would have been 171. What would have been my number 170 is a game that I played, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. My buddy Chris let me borrow it. It was at my house for a while, and it's called Meadow. And this is a little action selection game, drafting game, I guess. It's a drafting game where you're going to be, there's this grid of cards, 3x3 grid, and you're going to be putting a piece down either this way or this way with a card position on it. And based on where you put the token is the column or row that you can take and which card you're allowed to take. You're trying to grow this like tableau in front of you. You're trying to get different landscapes. You're trying to get buildings. You're trying to go in these buildings and find special hidden things. You're trying to get animals to just build up your tableau to score the most points. It's a really simple game. It's really fun to play. It's gorgeous, and I like it. So what would have been my number 170? Meadow. The next game that would have been on this list at number 152 is a game that we've only played one time, and just not, I don't know, I didn't think it resonated with me that much, but apparently I liked it. And it is called Dune Imperium. And this is a deck building game where you also have some workers that you're going to be putting out on the board, either with cards, without cards, to try to get resources. The ultimate goal of this game is to be the first person to hit a point threshold, which I think is 10, and you win. So you're trying to do as much as you can to score points. You're trying to get influence with these different factions. You're trying to get spice will flow, all that kind of thing. You're trying to upgrade your deck so you have better stuff. You have player abilities. Do all these things that you're trying to do, but ultimately there's this little battle. You're trying to win battles on the board, which will help you score points as well. So however you want to go about getting those 10 points, you can do that, but you're trying to be the first player to get 10 points. It's solid, not my favorite deck builder. I guess I did enjoy it. I didn't think I liked it that much, but I kept passing over other games because of this one, so clearly I did. So what would have been my number 152? Dune Imperium. The next game that would have made the list has an Asian theme, and you know how we feel about Asian themes here. Katie loves them, so I play a lot of them. And this is Tang Garden, and this would have been number 137 on my list. This is a really, at its heart, basically what this game is, it's a tile laying game. You're taking a tile and you're putting a tile out on this central board. Based on the tile that you play, you may make some landscapes, you may get some coins, you may pick up a little tile that's going to help you get these portraits that your players can look at. But ultimately, you're trying to get different pieces out on the board. You're trying to get your characters out on the board so they can look at things. There's different types of things they want to look at. Fish, trees, gazebos, or whatever they're called. Pagoda, I don't know. Different types of landscape, water, all that kind of thing. You're just trying to jockey your position with your character, have them facing in a direction that you want to score the most points. It's a really basic game, has great production, but it's one that I really like. It's a fantastic game. I don't have it because it's kind of pricey, so maybe I'll, make that, get it in the collection at some point, but who knows. But anyway, 137 would have been Tang Garden. My number 128, what would have been my 128, is a game that I've played a ton online, and it's really hard to find now. It's out of print because Tasty Minstrel Games, RIP, is out of business, and this is called Yokohama. Now, what this game is effectively, it's like Istanbul. What that means is you have these workers and you're moving them around these different locations that are out on the board. You're also trying to put cubes on these locations, and you're going to be activating these locations when you land on them based on the strength and power of cubes that you have on there. You're trying to get different resources. You're trying to spend those resources to form contracts. Maybe get other workers to come out on the board. Trade in resources for points, all that kind of thing. It's just converting things to get points to try to have those points at the end of the game. It's a really, I don't like using the word straightforward, but it's a very simple to play game, but because of all the actions and all the locations that are on the board, the options are huge. And it just, every time you take an action, there's so much stuff you can do. It's a fantastic game, one that I'd love to get in my collection, but even without it being in my collection, I still enjoy it quite a bit. And that would have been my number 128. Yokohama. I almost said Oklahoma. Yokohama. What would have been my number 115 is a game that I ragged on really hard, and mostly because of the hype that it got. This was the greatest game of all time. Any other game is inferior. As long as you had this game in your collection, you were good to go. And this game is Ark Nova. Now, I played this game, I think, 3 times, and each time it does get better and better. But I do have some complaints. I think it's too long. I think it's too similar to some other games. But at the end of the day, apparently I still like it. So what this game is it's a, I don't want to say tableau builder, but it's like a card game at its heart where you're playing these different cards that have these tags, which are like icons. And they're also going to give you special abilities. You're going to want to play cards that have icons because some other cards are going to fire off of those icons. Now, you also have a little player board that's going to be like a polyomino, which is like Tetris stuff, different shapes. And you're going to have to be able to place some of these animals into different locations on your board, on your map, to even play the cards. So you need the tags, and you need some spaces on your board to play these cards. And you're just trying to make it so you can have one scoring track going this way, one scoring track going this way. They meet, and then once they go past each other, that's your score. So once somebody has them meet and cross, that's the end of the game. Whoever crosses the most is the winner. That's your basic points. So it feels like Terraforming Mars. It feels like Lagrange, or not Lagrange, Rise of the Ganges, but it adds some differences to make this game stand on its own. I like it. It's not even close. I don't think it's even close to the hype that people are giving it, but it is an enjoyable game. If you haven't played it, check it out. So what would have been my number 115, Ark Nova. Speaking of Luke Laurie, we tackled him earlier, but this is what would have been my number 111, and this game is called Whistle Mountain. Now, this is the sequel, I guess, in name only maybe, to Whistle Stop, which I haven't played. But in this one, what you're doing is you have some like air vehicles, like a Zeppelin. I think we have a hot air balloon and a couple other ones. And you're using those pieces to go out on this map, build machines, build different types of scaffolding, and then activate those machines. So you're going to take and you're going to land on some machines. It will activate a whole bunch of stuff around it, all the machines. You're trying to free up some of your workers that may have fallen into the water to score as many points as you can. There's some set collection, there's some tableau building, there's some engine building, all this stuff going on in this game. It's crazy, but there's a lot of cool stuff. And like Cryo, once eventually you're out of characters, you're going to have to pull them back. I don't remember in this one because I haven't played it for a while if you get something when you bring them back. I don't think you do, but you still have to bring them back, so then you can take a turn to send them all back out. It's a great game. It's really fun. It may go on a little long. A lot of his games appear to maybe outstay their welcome just a little bit, but even then, still fun, still love it, and that is what would have been my number 111, Whistle Mountain. So the next game, this almost made it in my top 100. This would have been 104 had I not had these restrictions in place, and that is Taxi Derby. Now this is a game that I didn't think I was going to like. It is effectively Crazy Taxi, the board game. If you ever played that game where it's a video game where you're driving around trying to pick up all these crazy people and then you're trying to get them to their location where they want to go, no matter what, you're out running cops and all that kind of thing. That's what this is. You're going to different locations, you're picking up these people that want to ride, you're trying to take them where they go, you're trying to avoid the cops. If you can get them there quickly, you can get bonuses. If you have certain types of amenities in your car, you're going to get bonuses. That's it. It's a pick up and deliver game with some craziness going on. It's a little mean because you can send the cops after people, but we played a 4-player game and it barely did anything. But it is possible to mess some people over, so keep that in mind. But this is a fantastic game. It's hard to find. I think it was a small print run from Kickstarter or something, but if I could find it, I would get it because it's fantastic and I love it. So number 104, Taxi Derby. All right, well, that was another batch of games that would have been in my top games of all time had I not removed games that I don't own. I was talking to somebody on YouTube, I think, or a Discord channel, and they didn't agree that I should have kept these games off the list, but that's fine. You don't have to agree. And again, I'm not saying these are bad games. I just wanted to try something new this year to see how different my list would look if I only picked games that were on my shelf, which is what I'm doing. So I'll probably have another video, at least of this, maybe 2, because I ranked games up to like 400, but I don't know how high I want to go. But either way, look for another video talking about some more games that would have been in my top 100 had I not imposed those restrictions on myself. So that's it. I'm Jason with the Board Game Mechanics, and as always, keep gaming.